everyone. Today we will learn about straight line. So, what you can understand about straight line? Yeah, surely it will be a straight line. So, let's us discover this topic. But first, before we go further for this topic, I would like you all to determine the graph. The graph shows a function. Is the function linear or nonlinear, class? So let us see the answer. For the first picture, it will be a linear. And the second picture, it will be non-linear because the line does not show a straight line. So next, does the first picture is a linear? Sure, it is a linear graph. And the second picture, does it is a linear? Yes, it's a linear graph. Well done. So, can you see the graph now? It is a linear or not? Yes, surely it is not linear because the graph does not, because the line at here does not a straight line. So the second picture, does it a linear? Not right. You can see the graph, the line at here, it doesn't straight and it form a curved line. So next, okay, I would like you all to guess, does this first picture is a linear even though it is drawn as a dot here? You will able to trace the dot here and it will form a graph, a function. Does this a linear? Not right, because it's have curve here and curve here. It's done not a function linear. So the second picture, does this function is a linear? Yes, it would be absolutely a linear. As it's shown here, it is a straight line. So we will go further for learn about gradient slope of a straight line. So we will see the slide here. So what is gradient, class? The gradient, also called a slope of a straight line, shows how steep straight line is. The gradient of straight line is the rate at which the lines rise or falls vertically for every unit across to the right. That is, you see, this is the formula for us to determine the gradient. So it will be gradient equal to rise over run, which is here would be the rise, and the horizontal here it will be a run. So it could be, it also can be called as change in y. here, the vertical trace here is a change in 1 over change in x. And it also can be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The gradient of straight line is denoted by m, where m equal to y2 minus by y1 over x2 minus x1. Sometimes the horizontal change is called run and the vertical change is called rise. Just like what I have mentioned just now, here is the rise and here is the run. So y2 and y2, y1, x2 and x1 will represent the coordinate of each of the dot here that can combine, and it will be a straight line. We can draw the straight line through the dots. So positive or negative? A positive gradient is a straight line which slopes up to the right. A negative gradient is a straight line which slopes down to the right. So this is a negative gradient which show it is going down to the right, and this is a positive gradient where it is going to the up. So negative gradient will give a change in y in negative, and the positive will give a positive change in y. So the gradient is equal to 1 as it's shown here. You also can count the box at here if you want to determine the gradient. So for this example, we have see here the coordinate is y. For y1 is 8 and x1 here, 8 is represent x1 and 6 will represent y1, and this also will represent the x2, this will represent y2. So the slope is 3 over 6 and it will be equal 1 over 2 or 0.5, which you can also count the box here if you want to get the gradient. So for the second example, it will be the gradient will be 3 over 3 and it will be equal to 1. So next, the line is steeper and so the gradient is larger, whereas the rise at here for 4 boxes and the run will be 2. So it will be equal to 2. The gradient will be equal to 2. So the next example is the gradient will be 3 over 5, where it is 0.6. The line is less steep and so the gradient is smaller. Find the gradient of the straight line joining the points P, which is x1 -4 and y1 is 5, and for Q, x2 is 4 and y2 is 17. So this is the work step. You can follow the work step. I believe that you have learned gradient, right? It is so easy because you will refer to the coordinate which has crossed the y-axis and x-axis. So for this question, it will be, so the gradient of the line PQ is 1.5. So the next, find the gradient of a straight line joining the points A, 6 and 0 and B, 0 and 3. So let the gradient, so we can use the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the gradient would be -1 over 2 as the line is going to down. So the gradient of the line AB is -1 over 2. Section of a straight line. So what is the equation? You must be think right. Like equation must be x equal to 1 plus 2, right? Y equals to 2x plus 10. Yes, that is an equation. So let us see the equation for the straight line. Okay, for a linear function y equals to mx plus c, m is gradient and c is the y-intercept of the straight line. The graph of linear function y equal to mx plus c is a straight line. So in general, the equation will be written as y equal to mx plus c, where m will represent for gradient and c will represent the y-intercept. So what is y-intercept of straight line? Where a line crosses the y-axis of a graph. Just find the value of y when x equals to 0. So we can see at here, the straight line have crossed the y-axis, so it will be y-axis at y equal to 1 because it's crossed the y-axis and it is in the number 1 at here. So for example number 2, it's also the same, but the straight line is going to down where it crosses the y-axis at -2. So the equation for this function would be y equal to -2. So class, can you open your textbook now at page 229? So let us see for this example how to determine the gradient and y-intercept of the straight line. So for A here, we can see the question is y equal to 2x plus 9. So what have we learned just now? The formula is y equal to mx plus c, right? So m would be the 2 for the gradient and 9 will be the y-intercept. The second example is 3y equal to -2x plus 12, where we have to divide by 3. All of this we have to divide by 3, or you can put 3 here to your right. As the 3 goes to the right, you have to divide it. So -2x will be divided by 3 plus 12 divided by 3. So if you have done divide all of this, it will be y equal to -2 over 3x plus 4. So you have to compare y -2 over 3x plus 4 with the formula, the origin formula, which is y equal to mx plus c. So the gradient would be -2 over 3 as it represents the m, right? So the c will be 4 as it represents the y-intercept. So for example 2, state the value of h for the straight line graph below and state reason for your answer. So as we can see here, there are many coordinates, right? So the dot here where they have a coordinate, which is the first here is for x and here is for y. So what is the value of the y that represent to h? So the second example is what is the value of h where the straight line has where it is in vertical and this is in the horizontal where it crosses the y-axis here and like just and what I have mentioned just now, the vertical line should be x-axis because it does not cross any of y-axis. So we will see the solution together. So the solution is h equal to 6. 6, yeah, because it is 6 here. The value is 6 where the straight line have crosses the y-intercept and the value is 6. Because the straight line y equal to 6 is always 6 units from the x-axis. So as for b, you can determine it. What is it? Can you? It will be 4. h equal to 4. Because the straight line x equal to 4 is always 4 units from the y-axis. So it will be counted from this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the straight line will cross the x-axis, right? So as for this, it will be counted from this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. So it would be 6. The value of h in this example will be 6. So class, can you understand what have we learned? Do you have a question to ask? If you want to ask something, you may ask now because this topic seems like easy to understand because it most of them will be given by graph or in equation, right? So you have to identify you only have to identify the gradient, the y-intercepts, the value of the straight line that crosses either it cross the y-axis or x-axis. So class, can you open your book at page 230? Can you all try to answer all of these questions because it seems like easy, right? So I hope you all can answer the question, and if you want to get the answer, you can refer for the example in your textbook here. Yeah, you can refer it because it is so easy for you. So I hope you can do it. And for the question D, E, and F, you have to make it like this, where you have to move the number in front of y to your right, where the y should be y only, and it will be equal to your mx and plus c. So you should relate it with the origin formula, that is y equal to mx plus c. So for number 2, it is same as the previous example that have we learned just now. It is easy, right? So I hope you can do it now, and we will check the answer together later. Okay, class? Alright, class. Are you done with your exercises? It's quite easy, right? So let us check the answer together. So for number 1, A, the question given here is y equal to 3x plus 5, where the gradient is 3 and the y-intercept is 5. So for B, it is given here y equal to 2x minus 7, where the gradient is 2 and the y-intercept is negative 7. And for C, the given equation is y equal to negative x plus 4, as the gradient is negative 1, and the y-intercept is 4. For D, the equation is 2y equal to 8x plus 6 plus C, where the gradient is 4 here and the y-intercept is 3. So for E, the given equation is 3y equal to negative x plus 18. Get y equal to negative 1 over 3x plus 6. So the gradient will be negative 1 over 3 and the y-intercept will be 6. As for this, given equation is negative 4y equal to negative 2x plus 5. So the equation will be y equal to 1 over 2x minus 5 over 4. So the gradient will be 1 over 2 and the y-intercept will be negative 5 over 4. For the second question is 2a. So you have to state the value of k and h, right, for each straight line graph given. So for A, so this straight line is cross the y-axis where it produces an horizontal line, right? It same goes to the blue one at here. So k equal to 4 equal to negative 2, and still it only crosses the y-axis. So for B, it is a vertical line where k equal to negative 3 and h will be equal to 4. So class, what have you learned for today? It seems like quite easy, right? Because it only related with the straight line, the equation, the linear and the nonlinear. You have to identify it just now. The gradient, the y-intercepts, and you will be able to determine the positive and negative gradient, where the positive gradient shows that the line will be drawn to the upwards, right? The straight line will be drawn to the upward at our right, and the negative gradient will be drawn to downwards. And then you will be able to determine the gradient and y-intercept of the straight lines. So gradient, you have to use the formula that is m equal to rise over run, or m equal to change in y over change in x, or m equal to y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, right? So for the y-intercept, you have to see the line cross the y-axis only. So it's quite easy for you to identify where's the gradient, where the y-intercept, right? So gradient, so the equation will be y equal to mx plus c, where m will represent for the gradient and y will represent for the c. And then for the third, you will be able to state the value of x-axis and y-axis of the straight line, which you will see the vertical and horizontal line, that is the vertical line will always cross and only cross the x-axis, and the horizontal line will cross the y-axis, right? So for today, I will give you a homework. So this is your homework that you have to do it later, and I will give it to you, this handout to you by through our WhatsApp group, and I hope that you all will be able to answer the following questions. So any question? If not, we will dismiss our class. Thank you.